So you're sitting in French class as the teacher talks about verbs such as jouer, regarder, and aller. Aller means to go. Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. Are there Pokemon moves that can one-hit KO? Let's see, there's Sheer Cold, Horn Drill, and Guillotine. The guillotine was the symbol of the French Revolution. Your brain sure connects the dots in a weird way. How did the French Revolution start anyway? The following reasons are the commonly mentioned. The amount of wealthy commoners, bourgeoisie, resented its exclusion from political power and status. The peasants were becoming more aware of their position and tolerated feudalism less and less. Philosophies that preached social and political reform became widely shared in France. France's participation in the American Revolution also put the country on the brink of bankruptcy, and crop failures during a time of economic struggles made the population uneasy and drove up the price of bread. Inflation of bread prices! But even Louis XIV might have played a part in causing the revolution. Thinking he was a god and wasting the country's money on meaningless wars can definitely make a few people angry. This and that France became heavily burdened with debt, and he let a 5-year-old rule the country after he died. Boy, you are now the one and only King of France. But let's jump to the 1780s. Jacques Necker, finance minister of France, realized that the taxation was mainly put upon the lower classes while many exemptions were made for the upper classes. Knowing the country could not be taxed higher, he proposed the clergy and nobility be taxed as well. Hey, let's tax the upper classes. Oh, that's a good idea. Wait, I don't like that idea. This obviously was not well received, and Necker was dismissed. Charles Calonne was appointed Necker's position. In time, Calonne brought the Assembly of Notables together in 1787 to discuss their financial problems. France was virtually bankrupt and nobody was willing to lend the money anymore. When the Assembly of Notables was called in 1787, Calonne thought it would help his cause on a new tax code which included the taxation of the clergy and the nobility. However, the Assembly's criticism further weakened his new tax code, prompting Louis XVI to call the States General. The States General was separated into 3 estates. There was the clergy, first estate, the nobility, second estate, and the commoners, third estate. During their last meeting, each estate had 1 vote, meaning 2 votes could outvote a third. However, when they met at Versailles in May of 1789, there was disagreement on whether to vote by head, giving the third estate the advantage, or by estate, giving the first 2 states the advantage. Eventually, the third estate proceeded without the other estates and called themselves the National Assembly with the support of parish priests who outnumbered the higher officials in the clergy. They swore the tennis court oath in June of that year, promised not to disperse until the constitution was drawn. The king reluctantly gave in and urged the other 2 estates to join in. Join me, first and second estate, if you insist. The tolerance of the scarcity of food during these 2 months grew to its peak as the Parisian crowd seized Bastille, the symbol of royal tyranny. Peasants in the countryside revolted against their feudal contracts and attacked landlords and manors. We're rebelling! We're rebelling! We're rebelling! The summer of 1789 was known as the Great Fear. In response to the National Assembly completed the nullification of feudalism. It established equality among men and allowed the majority of men to vote. It also redistributed much of the land that was previously owned by the church. Much of the National Assembly wanted to keep Louis XVI on the throne and function as a constitutional monarchy, like that of England. In this new regime, the king would share power with an elected legislative assembly. This situation might have worked out if Louis XVI wasn't a rather weak and hesitant ruler. He attempted to flee France on June 20th, 1791. Can't catch me, I'm escaping! But was brought back to Paris. The king's foiled escape plot divided the assembly greatly. The Girondins wanted to retain the constitutional monarchy, while the Jacobins wanted to remove Louis XVI completely. Rulers of neighboring countries feared the spreading of revolutionary sentiments across French borders. The king felt that a war would either strengthen his popularity or allow another country to come and rescue him. As a result, France declared war on Austria on April 20th, 1792. A new assembly, the National Convention, met on the same day and abolished the monarchy, declaring France a republic. Louis XVI was sentenced was executed in January of 1793. With the war going poorly for France, the Girondin-led National Assembly was overthrown, and the Jacobins led by Robespierre took over. The Committee of Public Safety led by Robespierre began passing laws to revive the economy. However, Robespierre grew rather cynical and, fearing a counter-revolution, started the Reign of Terror, sentencing 15,000 people to death by the guillotine until he himself was executed in 1794.
You know who's gonna be executed?
You? Oh, come on!
A more conservative National Convention was formed in 1795, and to control appointments and executive responsibilities, the Directory was formed. However, the Directory's abuse of power grew to rival that of any tyranny. Through all of this, Napoleon was facing incredible success during the war campaign, with his forces going through Italy all the way to Egypt.
It's Napoleon! Defend yourselves!
Upon his return to Paris in 1799, he staged a coup against the Directory, overthrowing it and naming himself First Consul of France. Despite the revolution ending in France, its roots had spread all over Europe in various new forms. I'm leaving you with some footage of Bastille Day, France's national holiday, remembering the storming of Bastille July 14th, 1789. And as always, thanks for watching.